I'd say I'm kind of a just all around self improvement junkie,
Yeah,
and that isn't just Overwatch. It's pretty much all aspects of my life.
sure.
And um, there's a lot to benefit from outside perspective, things that you don't notice.
Yeah,
And so that's the primary aspect. Obviously, just getting better all around is fun, and learning is fun. So
yeah. Okay,
that's pretty much it.
okay. How long you been playing Overwatch?
Since beta Overwatch 1.
Okay, sounds good. And why coaching now, or is this something you've done before? Like what's the recent motivation for self improvement within Overwatch?
Um, I have worked with one other coach. I
Uh,
guess the most recent one is, uh, to be honest, kind of the revitalization of the game got me more
yeah,
interested in playing more.
makes sense.
And in Stadium, I've been having a lot of fun, and there's a lot more personal accountability. It feels like in that
Sure.
one, as in you can change the way your character works to interact more with the game.
Yeah.
Um, and so I guess I don't know, there's been varying varying ranks throughout the years. Generally, been in Diamond, but also have been in you know random lobbies with top 500s
Yeah.
here and there, and it doesn't feel all that much different.
Sure.
So, uh, see like what I can do to, I guess, improve my average rating.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Your forum talks about like you feel relatively confident in your mechanical skill, wanting to understand your understanding a little more so you can communicate better and just have a general better grasp of the game, correct?
Yeah, that's accurate.
And you're pretty consistently a flex player playing lots of roles, lots of heroes, depends on the situation.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. What are we going to be looking at today in terms of heroes or roles?
Today it's mostly Sojourn and DPS. I fortunately haven't had a lot of playtime since the patch
Yeah,
reset
that's
due to
fine.
being sick,
Yeah,
but
no problem.
yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Now, in terms of playtime and structure and drills and so on, obviously, like I'm seeing 4 to 8 hours, which is not a ton. I'm sure you're a busy guy, so there's like a lot of stuff going on. But do you have any questions with like routine or how to squeeze more value out of what you're doing, or do you feel like you've got that mostly settled? Can you still hear me?
Yeah. I was
I might
just
have lost.
pausing for
Yeah,
thought
no,
a
no
little bit.
problem, no problem, no problem.
Um, I'd say, I don't have a lot of targeted sessions. Honestly,
Sure,
these days, quick competitive honestly feels uh, easier than quick play, which
sure.
is kind of weird. Um, so generally just go in and uh, takes a little while to warm up the aim at
Yeah,
that point,
yeah, yeah. So
but
I can relate.
um, no, not a lot of like intentional structured practice on
Okay.
some specific mechanic.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. If any questions with that come up in the future, let me know. But for right now, just more general game understanding, answering questions, having an idea of what to be thinking about when I'm playing. That's mostly what you want to work on, correct?
Yeah, just some positional awareness in relation to, um, like, I've noticed I consistently probably do a bit less damage
Mm-hmm.
than the others in the game,
Mm-hmm.
and generally I feel like I'm just really trying to hold that angle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I guess I don't know. Sometimes I'm questioning: is this the right thing to do, or should I just be applying like more damage, or
Sure.
does it make sense to stay on this angle?
Sure. Sure. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that then. Any questions that wouldn't come up naturally in the replay review about macro, micro, specific heroes, anything else that hasn't come up? Because I think that's mostly it from your form.
Mm, Hmm.
Pretty big ask, I know, but if anything
Yeah,
comes up,
yeah. Yeah, nothing that really comes to mind specifically. I do, so I guess maybe, um, so I do, there's this philosophy of like, mastery of a specific skill or a
Mm,
specific hero,
yeah.
which I totally get, and I get that philosophy. I also understand the philosophy of a hammer is not a screwdriver, and
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
it's just not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so trying to balance those because I do play a wide hero, and there are some that like I'm better at this, but then like I'll switch to a specific hero to counter, and then we get past that point, and then it's like, okay, well I'll switch back because they counterpicked again. So it's an interesting philosophy because in the previous coaching they were really heavy leaning in the mastery of the one hero
Mm-hmm.
and playing and learning to play against the counters, which I
Yeah.
totally get that aspect of it. And then like, what's the transitionary period? Because we're not, you know, ladder. I generally play solo queue. It's there's a lot less structure. It's not mirror matches
Right.
and optimization of a specific hero. I feel like that falls a bit in those regards if you're not playing, as a coordinated team.
I think when it comes to like optimization, what you're really trying to do is just understand the mechanics of the character perfectly and then execute those mechanics as best as you possibly can. And then while I do agree a hammer is not a screwdriver, I think the concept is more along the lines of like, if you're really, really good with a hammer, what can you build? You know?
Mm,
And so in
it's a
terms of
good
like,
perspective.
yeah, in terms of that optimization, it's really like asking yourself, like, if I'm a master's level Roadhog, let's say like one of the most counterable characters in the game, if I'm a master's level Roadhog character mechanically, I could probably climb the masters fairly consistently, or at least high diamond, even when I'm being countered. Because the number of games when I'm being countered, I've learned how to adapt to those situations. And the number of the games when I'm not being countered, I'm just pounding. Now, that being said, there's a lot of satisfaction out of looking at each situation and deciding what would be optimal here, what makes the most sense, especially if those are heroes that you already enjoy playing. Like, mastery might be the most the quickest shortcut, I would say, to improving at the game, ranking up specifically. But it really might not be the most strategically satisfying. I guess I'd say the way is the best way of thinking about it. Right? It'd be like the equivalent of like playing one game and only one game for a year. Like most people don't do that because it gets boring, and this also means that you're basically thinking about the same problem over and over again. There's no novelty to kind of scratch that itch. So what I would say is it's like if you're the type of person that likes that strategic variety, that you like thinking about problems from a more objective standpoint rather than I'm going to think about how a Junker Queen would solve this problem or how a Sojourn would solve this problem, then I do encourage you to swap. But what I would do is I would keep it within a relatively tight frame. So a couple heroes, right? A couple heroes that have different solutions, have different kits, and then really focus on thinking which of my mains, for lack of a better term, fits this situation the best. And so then not only are you still able to practice some of the mechanics of the characters a little better, sure, but you're also practicing that strategical macro understanding, which is satisfying and will help you win games too. That kind of sounds more like where you're leaning to. I don't know if that's a misread. Where do you feel about that?
I think I respect both philosophies, and I like both. And it's I'll often try the hero that I like, and I think this can work, but
Right.
then if things don't go so great,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll try adjusting the playstyle, but oftentimes it's almost like there's such a finite amount of time. Maybe
Right.
try something that makes potentially more sense, like
Sure. Sure. Sure.
running Tracer down against a team that's
Yeah.
basically all tanks and
Yeah.
anti-dive seems
Yeah.
pointless.
Yeah. And I will say a lot of the times I don't think it's actually adjusting playstyle that's like what's needed. It's really just execution. Like execution just has to be a lot cleaner. And so if you're looking at that situation, you're like, I'm not really enjoying practicing this situation. I'm not really enjoying getting the reps here. Then there's no real point in beating your head up against a brick wall. So a good tracer can beat any comp, right? A good hog can even outplay counters. But if you're not enjoying learning how to do that, then there's no point really doing it, right? And so then making the right swaps can be fine. And we could talk about that if we want. We could even we could look at different situations and help sharpen that skill of doing a better job of deciding what to swap to within your hero pool. But it's totally up to you. Whatever you want to talk about today, or what do you want to go over today, works for me.
Okay. I think I would like that aspect, and uh, mm, yeah, that and just some positional and like mid-fight awareness of like positioning and rotations.
Yeah, sure. Okay, good questions. Anything else?
I think that's primarily it. I'm sure we may find some things, um, as
Okay.
we review.
Okay. Shoot me a code, whatever. I'm gonna pivot my headset over, so just drop the replay code or codes in chat here, and I'll get everything pulled up here in my end. Give me a sec. Okay, hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, let's take a look. Now, you said this was Sojourn, correct, to start?
Um,
I can't remember, to
uh,
be perfectly honest.
yeah, mostly probably Sojourn and Ashe.
Okay. Sojourn and Ashe. And these are your two of your mains on damage?
Um, this season, generally it's yeah, I'd say Sojourn, Ashe,
Okay.
Tracer, and probably Sombra are the primary DPS as
Okay.
of late,
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
and Cass.
Yeah. Let's take a look here. So, Ashe, do you want to talk about like making the optimal swap on the map here? Do you want to start with that, or do you want to get delve more into like the hero specific stuff? It's up to you. We can do a little bit of both.
Uh, we do a little bit of both. I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of um the heroes to play and their kits, but there
Okay.
could be some things that maybe I am not aware of.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Like you said, some of the rotational stuff. Okay. So in terms of like swaps here, there's a couple of facets that I like to look at. I did a whole map voting guide on this a month or so ago. And essentially, you have like the three dimensions way of looking at the game, which is verticality, horizontality, and then length, like depth, right? It's just the three dimensions up, down, sideways. And
Yep.
for this, it's like you look at a map like King's Row, and you're like, well, it's not super broad. Right? Maybe a little bit more so in second point, but it is a little bit more linear, first and third especially, right? So heroes that have a ton of mobility, like a tracer, like let's say, don't feel as oppressive as opposed to like a flashpoint map. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for that, Ashe is kind of doesn't really care like about how flanky the map is. Like longer sight lines, that's fine. More narrow, that's fine. She doesn't really care. So already you got some points going for you. Okay, so this feels good. Then you got the verticality angle. How would you rate King's Row verticality? Decent, good, bad, terrible? What does your gut say?
It's 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 pretty decent to good. I
Uh huh.
think the middle, it you can flank from either high ground depending on where the fight
Sure.
is happening.
Sure.
Last point, I feel like verticality. Last point and first point are pretty important verticality wise.
Yeah. Agreed. And so, where would you rate Ashe along the verticality spectrum? Decent, strong, weak. Will she capitalize the verticality? Will she be victimized by it? Is it somewhere in between?
Um, she Yeah, you want to be on the high ground in most
Right.
circumstances,
Right.
and getting there is very cooldown dependent, or you know, uh, rotation dependent in between team fights. Like being able to actually get up there,
Mm-hmm.
it's not
Mm-hmm.
it's not the easiest thing, but
Mm-hmm. But you can capitalize on it, right? As
Yep.
opposed to some of the other characters. So you look at this, and what would you grade Ashe on this map then before we look at the comp? Solid, good, bad. You know, you taking all those factors into play.
I'd say she's good to solid.
I would agree, right? Like maybe not like perfect, amazing, but very, very, very solid. And like, so the map will not be a problem here. Now let's look at comps here. What are like the worst situations to play, like the worst heroes to play Ashe into, just off of your gut?
You feel like I get dove pretty easily on
Right.
Ashe.
Right, right. Especially depending on that map, right? How far away it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anything that's like super heavy dive can be problematic, especially if the map isn't good. But the good news is we have a relatively decent map, so we have some mitigation versus dive. But if they were to go like super crazy, Ball Sombra, you know, Moira flanking on you, then maybe this is a situation where you'd swap. But it would demand something more extreme before I would probably to start considering swapping, just because the map is friendly to me. Whereas if I wanted to play Ashe on, like, let's say Flashpoint, which is already relatively hostile to me, and then they go dive, like, that's definitely a situation where I'm going to have a hard time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's really the combination of the two. It's like, how friendly is this map to my hero in terms of the 3 dimensions? And then when they make swaps, how difficult is it for me to make work done? So, like, for example, here, you swap to what? Sojourn, Cassidy here, which is a fine swap versus the dive stuff, but it really leads me to question, I don't think you should have struggled versus a Winston Onron too badly. That's not too bad, right? On a good map. You kind of see what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
if we
that's
look
fair.
at the team fight here, I'm going to assume, maybe I'm wrong, I'm going to assume that there was probably some sort of a strategic or positional error on your end for you to lose, especially in defense, this quickly. Right, and so like right now, it's like, okay, your Zen gets picked, you get dove, you hit the coach gun, and ultimately there's no real problem here from you outside of just like, okay, you guys got pre-fighted. That's basically all there is to it. Now, for feedback for you, I would prefer you to use this position where you start here. Like, I know you feel a little far away, but I do think this patience would pay off. I think especially if they're not on Widowmaker, you can actually start here as well. So like right here, this is the angle that you can use. So that way that Winston has to dive you and you can coach gun back to your team. But he can't. The problem with the Winston dive here, as you can kind of see, is that because everybody's kind of stacked here, this Winston dive isolates a lot of people. Whereas if you're here or even here, he has to kind of make that choice. Does that make sense? Just a small angle would have been better here. Small angle utilizing verticality, not to completely isolate yourself. But ultimately, like even factoring in that, I don't think this was anything horrendously wrong on your end. Their Sojourn just got a massive cleave, their Onron got a massive cleave, and then your Zenyatta literally died before the fight started. So swapping and cast is fine versus the composition. And he's actually decent on second point. I think he's okay, but he's gonna feel worse on third point. So
Yeah, we just lose the high ground battle, and I am a little unsure of what to do at that aspect.
well, let's kind of look at the problem we have here. It's like, what sort of crossfire do you have right now? What sort of vision do you have? You kind of see what I'm saying? Like, this is the difficulty with Winston taking space, is if you don't contest him on those spaces, then he's going to really punish you here. So this is kind of where you might need to take calculated risks, like right here, right? So where's available to you? What could you stage from, even if it means shooting a little less?
I mean, I could have gone up with Zen or...
You could have. Yeah, you could have gone up with Zentorb, yeah. What about on the side that you're already on? Like, maybe your sightlines aren't that good, but what can you do on this side here? But just make it better.
Probably should have went up to the corridor.
Yeah,
just so that
walk up here.
He couldn't, which is where he ends up going.
And check this out right here. I mean, there's your crossfire, right? Like, that's what you can't see right now. In addition to that, if he does dive, he's going to have to choose one of you guys, right? You're not on the floor, so you're not going to get shot accidentally by whatever's here. My concern isn't really the Winston right now. It's what that Winston's going to force, as in, like, he's going to get a distraction, you know? And then you're going to die to something else. So and you can kind of see it. You're slowly being kind of surrounded right now, and then now it's like, yeah, and there it is. Right now, he's taking that position away, and we can't stop him. So yeah, you nailed it. Like we could have gone with Zentorb here. We could have also played here, but this is really concerning. You see how our team is holding space right now? Now we're all clumped, and so any Sojolt, Nade, Nano, anything is really bad. So this is really, really spooky for us. And that's ultimately what makes that feel so uncomfortable. That's what dive does, is they surround you. So you gotta kind of have to fight for that. Okay, let's actually we'll come back to the positional stuff later, but I want to keep looking at like the review side of things in terms of the swaps. So now you make a swap here to Soj. What do you think about the Soj swap? What about the map? What about the point? Let's focus on that. How does that feel compared to Cass?
I switched specifically so I'd have more verticality on this point.
So that's a
just
map
be able to get up
situational.
there.
Yeah, very good, very good. I think it's definitely a better swap to Cassidy, and there's no real dive hero anymore, so either Cass or Sojourn can work. Now, let's remember you have the 3 hit scans that we've seen you play. What about Ashe here?
Usually, probably did it just because I wanted variety. I don't think I gave it a lot of thought on that one.
Yeah, I respect
But
that.
usually between those two, if it's something that's flying around and I need like more hit scan actual rather than just the railgun, I'll pick Ashe. But if it's like just more spammy, then I'd like if it's just choke point spam, I would usually pick Sojourn.
Yeah. I look at this situation here, and I'm like, with the dive or aspects of their comp kind of drying up. If you're equally skilled in both Ashe and Sojourn, I feel like Ashe is just going to be better in this particular situation, right? It's really not that big of a deal. I think Sojourn is a fine swap. It's an improvement over Cassidy, but this is kind of like, this is what we wanted to talk about, right? It's like sharpening that skill. And so right now, the map is fine for both Ashe and Sojourn. Maybe Ashe has like a little bit easier time getting to these high grounds. But the big thing is that without the Winston, there's just not as much necessity for that slide. I'd just rather have Coach Gun at that point in time, because that at least can allow me to consistently take the height. Let's put it this way. It's like, if you're uncontested, I prefer Ashe over Sojourn. Okay. That's kind of the way to look at it in terms of just pressure output. Now, you might not like Ashe as much, or you might be better at Sojourn, but that's kind of, if we're looking at it from a completely strictly objective standpoint, that's kind of what I look at here. Again, you don't have to, you can use that as a guideline. You don't have to follow that rule. It could be like, I feel like playing Sojourn. I'm a better Sojourn player, so I'm going to play Sojourn. But that's ultimately like the skill that we wanted to practice. So that's at least what we're going to talk about. Now, what about this? Here's another opportunity here, right? So like, you're on Soj here. The point, what do you think? Useful point for Soj, bad point for Soj, medium point for Soj. What do you got?
I think it's a good point for Soj.
Agreed.
I think the slide with the verticality really lets you take aggressive angles more than like Ashe in the specific situation.
Even just to get out of the first point choke, right? Because you can go here, you can go here, you can go here, you can go here. Like Ashe Coach Gun gets you higher, but Sojourn slide is more frequently available, I believe, if I remember correctly. So like literally every single high ground here, with the exception of these windows, is accessible. So it's like, it just, yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Now the dive threat isn't here, but the mobility does feel better in that front for the point. So yeah, makes sense to me. Okay. And then let's see, is that mostly Soj all the way through? Okay, a little bit of Cass at the end. Let's look at the Cass real fast. So why the Cass swap? Because I actually think it's a good swap here. But you tell me why. What's changed? Comp is the same, right? So what's changed?
I mean, I feel the point's a lot more, like, there's a lot less angles. Everyone's kind of funneled, so a lot more directed damage.
Yep. I would say that this is more like a closed corridors flank kind of a situation.
Yeah.
Right? Like either you want to be playing a Widowmaker, just committing way to the back, or you're just getting your hands dirty, like there's so many small little rooms and corners, and that's what Cassidy excels at, right? So with Sojourn, having these big, wide, broad, open sliding points is great, but there's none of that here, right? Like, I mean, this is all we need to see, right? There's none of that here. So you're either fully committing to Ashe here or you're committing to Cassidy. So the problem here, the Cassidy swap is fine, but if we're standing behind tank with DPS and height, this is not going to feel good. Do you kind of see what I'm saying? So for this map here, we don't have any anti-dive, right? So, but we also are playing Cassidy here, just almost like, I won't even say like a Reaper, because a Reaper would be flanking more too. It's like you're not gonna, it's not gonna necessarily feel any better. It was a good trade, but if you're not using those little small corners or small rooms, then that's not gonna feel super good. So like this right here, this is more right here. This is what Cassidy does. This kind of stuff. Sneak off to the side, bam, back to cover, right? This is more of what we want to see. But then I want to see that energy continue here, right? Like once we've pushed these staggers here, where should you be lurking to now, if you have time to set up?
I mean, if I did have time to set up, I'd probably like that high ground room right in front. That's pretty hard to get to at times.
You could sit quietly here. You could play here. You could even rotate all the way to this side here. And the difference, again, between Sojourn and Cass is that that sightline feels more comfortable, and Cass, you don't need to build up a rail to be a threat. You're already a threat immediately the second they walk out of that room. And I think like that's the concern is like, do I have the time to do that? You do. You've had time from here, right? 1347. And that Sigma is still coming out of spawn. That Ana is still coming out of spawn. And the fight's just starting now, and we're like 11 seconds in. You kind of see my point here? And this is where Cass is not going to feel great, because what would feel better here just spamming down a choke, if that's all we're going to do at this sightline?
I mean, yes, just Soj probably.
Soj, Ashe, any of the other two, ironically, right? Like any of those two would feel better here, right? So you can kind of see it. Like you want it, you feel wrong. You're like, I got to go in there, I get my hands dirty, but the problem is that because you're doing it directly behind your tank, this is extremely risky, because you're walking into a shield. So if he's full HP, or if there's a nano involved or anything else, that's where things start to feel kind of problematic. Does that make sense? So it is a little bit more angle pilled with how you're playing the map, not necessarily flanking, but just taking that space and holding it and moving it as necessary. Now, let's analyze this situation. I'm curious to see what you swap here, because I do agree a swap wouldn't be bad here. You stay, but what could you play here? Look at the point. Think about the point.
I mean, there's quite a few options.
Yeah.
Just at this third point, generally, if there isn't someone, either me or someone else, contesting that high ground in the middle, it's historically we lose.
Yeah. So then, obviously, early on, you can't really do it just yet. But what are you thinking in terms of the heroes that you've played? What would you feel most comfortable on?
I think feel pretty equal about Ashe or Soj, but part of it, I think it's not as open may lead more into Soj, just the spam wise.
Yeah, works for me. You can also use your slide off of payload, I believe, to take height. So, I would agree. Now, obviously, that's perk dependent. Silver Bullet definitely helps here, as you can see. Like, that helps with the range a lot. So, there's, again, a lot of nuance in the argument, and obviously, like, hero comfort. But if we're stuck kind of shooting at a shield, it's going to be problematic. And honestly, Tracer is going to be difficult here, too. So, okay, let's move on. And let's look at the second code here. Now, I don't mind coming. We probably will come back and give some more hero feedback if that's what you'd like. But let's keep practicing this. Is this what you kind of want out of the session? Were you enjoying this? Are you feeling like this is productive so far? It is a little out of the ordinary for me. Okay.
No, it's been interesting having the different perspective on the choices and just thinking about it, because I do not. Admittedly, I do go off of like gut feel and don't give a lot of thought to the hero versus the map itself. Also, one aspect like what you had mentioned for on Cass, the third point, taking the angles from the side. Sometimes I just struggle to decide like when it makes sense to play with the tank versus not with the tank.
Right. I think the concept of playing with the tank versus with not with the tank is more along the lines of what kind of space is next to the tank. So let's kind of look at like this. Let's say you're on Cass here, and let's kind of play the fight later on to where the fight breaks down into choke. Okay, so right here, for example, it doesn't make a lot of sense to play with the tank if you're playing with Cassidy, because to play with the tank, you'd have to basically just stand directly behind him. And when you're playing with the tank, really what you want to do is you want to get to the point to where you're assisting the tank by pressuring the enemy tank just from a little bit to the side. So what that might mean here is if we were playing, let's say, just skip to a random point here, okay, this is perfect. If I'm holding with the tank here, and let's say my tank is trading on this corner here, I might help the tank from here. You see how I'm playing with the tank, but I'm not playing with the tank? You kind of see what I'm saying? The difference is just that this bridge allows me to do this effectively. So I don't have to necessarily stand directly behind him, but I don't necessarily have to flank all the way around, do anything silly. This is just totally fine right there. But if we go to this point here, let's say that we were on Cassidy here, and my tank drops. Okay, fine. For me to play with my tank here would basically mean I would have to hold this high ground or nothing. Because I don't really want to play here and shoot tank, just gets me stuck in a corner.
Right.
I do want to use high ground potentially. Maybe I want to take this flank instead and hold this corridor, in which case maybe I can't really see their tank. But I'm not necessarily trying to decide whether I'm trying to help my tank or not. I'm looking at it from an objective viewpoint and saying, where is my tank fighting? Can I help my tank by putting pressure? But the crucial thing is where you put pressure is not important because it depends on what hero you're playing. So right now, your tank, you're not helping the tank trade right now, right? But you have to do this. Like somebody's got to shoot this guy. Otherwise, your tank is going to get resources pulled this way. Like somebody has to deal with it. So that's you. So this isn't, oh, I shouldn't be helping shooting the Sombra because I need to be helping my tank. Well, if you don't deal with that, then she's going to kill somebody. What matters is that you took a good position for Sojourn, and then you dealt with what was on your screen. Like right now, what's your next problem? Well, this guy, right? That's your next problem. That's kind of the mindset with DPS. It's you take a good angle or a good position, whether that's on high ground or on a flank or a little off to the side left or a little off to the side right, and then you deal with the problems of that position, essentially.
I would, for this first fight, I would like to play it out and just kind of get your feedback on it, because I was definitely a struggle between the two, and I ended up switching to Ashe just to get some focus on the flying targets. But basically, it's like, do I commit to keep fighting this, or do I switch to keep putting pressure to alleviate pressure elsewhere?
Well, this is the best. The best thing I can tell you is that if you have two problems, like right now we have a Sombra problem where it's like I prefer to be on Sojourn. We have a Pharah problem. I prefer to be on Ashe. What that essentially means is that if the map is fine for both of you guys, and I do think that like Ashe and Sojourn are both fine here, good sightlines, then it doesn't really matter which one you choose. There's good and there's bad about each one, if that makes sense.
I guess perhaps I phrased the question wrong.
Sure.
It was more of, so right now, well, I mean, in the beginning and throughout, honestly, the first point fight, after the first point, we just collapsed the first point. But I did switch the Ashe, and we managed to restabilize. But more of the question was, my attention is split between both Pharah and Sombra, and I'm zoning them out equally, but they still remain an active threat the whole time because I can't
I understand.
really capitalize on getting the limb or
sure. Well, it's the question is more along the lines of how many opportunities did you have to finish the kill, right? So like right now, for example, Pharah is an active threat. We use her slide. We don't have rail. We throw a disruptor shot without a lot of intent. Like I know why you threw it, but it wasn't really aimed particularly well. And so there wasn't really a lot of threat on the Pharah. And I don't think you necessarily need to press Pharah there. Like you didn't have rail. She was backing off. It's fine. So then we decide, oh, I'm going to go for Sombra. Okay, that's fine. Like that's cool. Okay, now we can't see Pharah, so she's not really our problem anymore. and then we go for the Sombra. That's fine. But I think it's like this right here. You're going to want this one back, right? Because you had a good opportunity to actually finish this target off. So really, in terms of whether you should be focusing Sombra or not, it's a dumb question. Of course you should. We just needed to kill her. We just needed to not rail at that HP, right? Like, we had way too low of a rail for that to actually effectively kill her. Does that make sense? Like, it sounds stupid, like, but like, I mean, even if you rail her head, like, it's not going to be a kill there. So it's like, we just need to hit the rail or not use the rail. And then I think this right here is maybe where that, not literally, but like that illusion of object permanence kind of kicks in here. It's like, yeah, I know Ryan's here, but like, Samra's right freaking here, right? Like, you know where she's going to go. You've got Disruptor Shot. You've got Slide. No, mess her up. So you throw Disruptor Shot at your Ryan, at the Ryan, excuse me, but we needed that tool to deal with this instead. And the reason why that's the case is because Sombra's the direct threat on you. Ryan was just spectating, if that makes sense. If the tables were turned and Sombra was on like the opposite high ground and Ryan was like literally on top of you, I mean, I would be Disruptor Shot the Ryan, right? So I think this is a little bit of popcorn attention, right? For sure. Because like, it's fine to focus Sombra right here, but the reason why this is going so poorly right now is because we didn't have our Disruptor Shot, and we messed up mechanically. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not seeing necessarily, like, even here, I wouldn't mind you, like, right now, this is where, again, there's like that popcorn attention. You've just spotted her out of stealth, right? There, you know where she is. You got to at least pop a couple shots here. Screw her up. You have the advantage here. I do think this is you worrying too much about your team potentially and going, oh no, this Pharah's going to kill my team. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it does feel like your responsibility is pulling you in too many different directions, if not.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Right there, it's like we think, oh, far. That's fine. We had a good angle on Farah. But then right now, you can see it again. Where should your attention be now? Right here. I don't know if you heard that. It's Sombra hack. And you heard Sombra hack, and you literally stopped shooting a Farah point blank in your face and went to turn around to deal with the Sombra over here.
Right.
That is like absolutely like the opportunity cost about attention, you know? Where it's like, what you're doing in terms of shooting Sombra has at times been good, has at times been, with Farah, been good. But you're absolutely right, where like right now you're trying to do two things and you're doing both of those things very poorly. Like right now, nothing matters besides Sombra. Nothing. Kill her. Kill her. Finish her off. She's right there. Yes. Good. Even there, it's like that's something we can press. But for the most part, like I do think that it was just popcorn attention. Whether it was with Ryan or whether it was Sombra on her backline or Farah all the way across the map, it's your job to deal with whatever's on top of your angle and don't worry too much about what's happening elsewhere. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you nailed it. I think you definitely recognize that as an issue, and I think you're 100% correct.
I missed that.
I mean, it happens. Now, do you want to keep going with the attention thing, or do you want to kind of go back and skip around and see what we can do with our swaps? Or I don't even know if you make any swaps here.
I think I swapped to Ashe after this.
Yeah, I mean, Ashe is fine here, but I don't think that Sombra or Sojourn was any worse because you had those dive threats. I think the problem is that this is a situation where, like, you're probably feeling like something needs to change because it's going really poorly. But the reality is that, like, this is kind of what I talked about earlier, where it's like sometimes it's easier. This is so here it is. This is the one problem I think with studying swaps as a skill to improve at, is that I can sometimes fixate on the swap being the problem and not necessarily the execution. Like right now, I think Sojourn versus Ashe is pretty even. Like you've got a couple of dive threats, which mean Ashe is going to feel a little worse. And you have these like big juicy sightlines, which makes both Ashe and Sojourn feel pretty good, right? But instead we've swapped to Ashe, even though we had Soj working fine. I mean, heck, we had 65% in ult charge as well. But it's because we're just changing because maybe that might work. You kind of get what I'm saying? Whereas reality is like Ashe is fine here, but we are going to be more vulnerable to Sombra.
Okay.
So it's like I think the Ashe swap here is equally good, but I don't want that to be the focus of our attention right now. Is what's the prepper swap here? When the swap is
Right, right.
fine, it just needs to be execution, right? Which is just focus down one target. And so yeah, Ashe works mostly fine, and obviously like you're good at Ashe, so that's gonna be fine. But yeah, okay.
I feel like the switch was to maybe help me focus more because her kit almost demands focus.
You could be
And
right? There's less movement, right? So you generally do have to. There isn't a lot of jumping around chasing things. That did happen with the Sombra. So yeah, that's true. Okay. Let's see here. Sojourn again. Sojourn's fine here. Sojourn. Yeah, I mean Sojourn's fine here as well. There's actually a lot fewer dive threats, but maybe on third point you might want to try Cass just because of how compressed things are. Like you can kind of see it here. It's difficult to get sightlines, and then you explode, right? But that's not necessarily a major problem. I think the sightlines are good enough. Okay. Do you want to go over any other fights, or do you want to focus more on some of the feedback, like the individual hero feedback stuff?
um, no, I think there's like the split attention and the responsibility aspect, because yeah, I definitely do uh, mm, put a lot of focus on trying to help the team, which maybe
Yep.
is counterproductive
Yep.
at
Yep.
times.
Yep. It's because it's not that like helping your team is bad. I mean, it is a team game. The problem is that like a lot of your responsibilities, as you kind of noticed, I place a lot of responsibility on like opportunity, excuse me. So like, if you're here, this is your job, if that makes sense. And you're like equipped for that. Like you have disruptor shot and like mobility and crap, so you could deal with that, right? But you're also equipped to pressure Pharah sometimes, and you're also equipped to build rail off of Rhine, but you just can't with where you are. And so for your problems, I don't think the problem is necessarily that you misunderstand what Sojourn can do and what she's good at. You try to do too many things instead of doing them well. And to kind of make you feel better, it's not a skill issue either. Like you never want to try to multitask with Sojourn. It doesn't matter how good you are, right? Like maybe a better Sojourn player here would have killed the Sombra faster so that she could go deal with the Pharah. You kind of get what I'm saying? Like the better Sojourn doesn't just tickle the Sombra and then deal with the Pharah. No. Better Sojourn just deals with the problem, gets her all the way out or kills her, and then deals with the Pharah, right? So it's like, if you're picking Cass for dive, and you're like, okay, I'm going to hold this high ground to stop the Genji from going here. And the Genji just like goes like with a mercy pocket and rotates all the way around the map, way over here or something stupid, and ends up diving your backline like over here. And you're just shooting Winston up here. That's fine. Because if you're controlling this high ground and you're already denying space for the enemy dive. So if you're picking Cassidy or Ashe or Sojourn for a specific reason, and those reasons don't manifest themselves on your angle, then you don't really have that responsibility anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can pick a hero for a specific problem, but then if that problem just like either doesn't show up or goes somewhere all the way across the map, it's no longer your problem. And you'll see this all the time. Like you'll see like you'll pick like Sombra to assassinate a Widowmaker, right? Like I see this with Sombra players all the time. And the Widowmaker just sits inside of her backline, like refuses to go isolate herself anymore. And they'll be like, well, I can't isolate and kill the Widowmaker anymore. It's like, well, yeah, but you look at where she's positioning. Look what you forced her to do, right? She's already in a position, so then you just get value wherever you can. You don't necessarily have to focus the Widowmaker anymore. And so it's the same thing with you. It's like you're picking Sojourn here, and you're making it a lot harder for the Sombra to get isolated kills. She's been incapable of doing it. But the problem is that she's still getting too much value because she's pulling your attention when she's not even a threat. So, okay, we can keep going here. Like I said, we're totally up to you.
No, I think
Okay.
that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. We can look at a different code or this code, or we can do some more swap focus. I know you play a lot of different roles. Totally up to you.
Let me see. I had another one. I guess out of curiosity, so you said this isn't typically what you do, I guess, for
No, not
coaching, you mentioned?
typically. Most people kind of
What?
come in with the concept of like, this is the hero that I like playing. How do I play this hero better? Right?
Okay.
With you, it's been like, I enjoy the strategic side of things. I want to make sure that I'm playing the best hero in the best situation within this pool. You know, we've talked a little bit about angling. We've talked a little bit about your attention, but a lot of it's also just been about like, how do you swap educated? And I have done this before. I did this a few months ago, but it's usually the exception, not the rule.
Okay. I think maybe zoning in a little bit on the Ashe, even in this match too,
Yeah, let's do it.
to do kind of the flip side, because
Yeah.
sometimes what I do struggle with her is determining when I should play mid range versus far range. Because a lot of times far range feels like I'm doing almost nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Again, it will kind of go to my my feedback earlier, which is like, what does the map give you, right? What are you feeling? Like right now, it's like, we're obviously worried about Sombra,
Yeah.
but we have a pretty good sight line of where this fight is going on, right? Like, we don't have like anything to see immediately, but if this Sombra tries anything, we're ready. We have a bit of a sight line on Rhine. It's also difficult for this Pharah to progress on us, right? So like, I think this is more along the lines of like, where are we fighting? Where's my tank fighting? I mean, on this corner. Can I control a sightline or an angle? You brought this up earlier in our Q&A at the start of the session. This is one of those moments where you don't necessarily have a lot of damage potential immediately, but you are controlling a lot of space. And that the reason you know that is because you have a good sightline for Ashe with where your team is fighting. And if for whatever reason in this exact millisecond you can't see anybody, trust the process, you will. That's kind of the way to look at it. You will. See, like, how much damage have we got here, right? 120, 130, 40, something like that? Tops, right? And yet we've forced Rhine Shield, isolated him, and just finished off the ulting Rhine. And then now we're taking a 1-for-1, but because we have Pylon, because we have our Coach Gun, nice shots, this Sombra should just die. I would just spam unscope shots at this point, to be honest.
Yeah, I had one ammo.
So it's like, so it's like, how much damage did you do that fight? Like 300? 340, 330, something like that, right? Not that much, right? Not that much. Like that's nothing. And yet it was just incredibly efficient damage because you held a good position and you used your cooldowns well. It's good. And then now, why are we walking forward? Do we need to do more damage? No. What prompted this?
Seeing my team, probably.
Right. Like, look at where your Sigma is holding. So you're like, okay, well, this angle isn't going to work anymore. So I'm going to walk forward to match their aggression. Now, you need to be careful here, but this makes sense. Now, the irony is that your sightline is worse, but you might be able to do more damage here because you have a better, like, you can see them earlier. You can see the tank earlier. So you might get more damage, but it doesn't necessarily mean this position is better. It's just, you're just trying to follow your team's position. That's all. I like the high ground here. We can't see anything, so we try to find somebody to shoot from this angle. I would dynamite that. It's a little late with it, sorry. But that's a good idea.
Yeah, I dropped.
Okay, so this is kind of what I was talking about in terms of the impatience. Okay, so the dynamite needed to come out sooner. Yeah, absolutely. We needed to kill they needed to dynamite the back line, unfortunate, whatever. Go next. But right now, just because you don't see somebody in this millisecond doesn't mean this position is bad, right? Now, we have the power of hindsight, which is way easier. But like, if we turn our camera around here, there you go. There it is. If we turn our camera even more, there it is. Oh, you didn't know he was there? Well, that's something that you can deal with. This right here is absolutely our responsibility right now, but we didn't see it because we were too urgent for damage now. You got frustrated, maybe not even like angry, just like impatient, and then immediately our position compromised, and that ironically means that you're going to do a lot less damage than you could have if you just held the position. You know why? Because you're scared, and you should be scared. This is really scary to be. So my feedback here is that your angle strategy initially, the high ground, little crossfire, was really good.
and it went really bad because you lost a little bit of patience. Now, I'm criticizing you for this, but I have the exact same problem with support. I'll be like, I take a good angle, I want to do damage, I get a little bit panicky either because I'm missing shots or because my sight lane doesn't like immediately pay off in the first millisecond, and then I drop and then I die. or I do nothing because I'm trying not to die. That's the mistake here. That being said, the good news is that your philosophy, your idea behind where to go was very, very good. You just needed to trust yourself. Same thing here. This is also a good position. May not provide immediate damage right now, but we're zoning out backline. The dynamite's fine. Good shots, very good shots. And now if we just live, we're going to win the fight. So we needed to live there, unfortunately. But again, it's another one of the situations where your damage was really bad, like maybe 250 damage there. But did it matter? No. You took Juno out of the fight, you freaked out their backline, and then you killed Juno, and then you kept the Emre from engaging, or at least you told your team about the Emre indirectly, right? Hey, there's an Emre there, you know, he just freaking killed me, so... Yeah, we basically had 2 fights in a row where we did sub 350 damage back to back, and yet our impact was huge. Only problem? We died. We died because we just got a little greedy with cover usage when we didn't have any HP. That's the mistake. But again, the concepts behind where you're holding are all good. Even here, like, we could be doing damage right now, but we also know that, like, to not rotate there was suicide. It's a little unfortunate with the dynamite. Good angle. Okay. Nice. It's a really good perk. I think it's just sadly like you just always choose that perk. There's just no reason to choose the other one, because even when you're playing versus dive, that's also OP versus dive, the manual detonation.
Yeah, the perks are interesting. Some of them do have a little bit of variety, and then some of them are like, why wouldn't I pick this?
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind the Bob. I like the Bob as a response to the enemy team pushing. Because you're like, okay, well, maybe I can zone off backline and we can focus on Ryan. Yeah, seems reasonable. And I like this angle from you as well. Ryan can't shield both angles. Can't shield both you and Bob. So that's a good Bob. Another situation where, like, how much damage did Bob get? I don't know, 200, you know? But it won the fight, right? Like, they literally just AFK'd because of Bob. They freaking walled him, and then that guarantees Ryan dies. And so then now it's like, okay, well, now Ryan's dead, so now I'm going to walk forward, and we might be able to get another stagger kill here. Should get another stagger kill. If not, it's still fine, but okay. Good job. Good position. Obviously may not get a ton of damage because we're getting spammed pretty heavily right now, but that's fine because spam towards you is not spam towards somebody else. And obviously object permanent, so they're going to forget about you and then you're going to get more shots. I don't like this dynamite, even though it hits, because it feels a bit blind. It's too long of a cooldown for you to throw a dynamite like this. I know what you're trying to do, but I would be fine for you to re-peek this just so you get a bit of information first, just even briefly, and then go for it, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, it just was... essentially just luck that it worked out.
Yeah, there's no urgency there. But yeah, this position is OP. We're doing a great job playing it. Yeah, it's good. Well, let's wait till we get a bit of pressure here. Okay, things are getting a little hairy here. Oh, this is saucy. Now I'm curious. Why did you rotate here? I actually don't mind this. I think this is really clever. But what was the strategy behind this?
I think I kind of gave up on the point right there because the Mei just came in with her ult, and I was like, what can I do?
Gotcha. You could have re-peeked that, but I actually don't mind this because it just mixes up the angle that you're peeking from, and nobody's going to freaking expect this. So I'm fine with this. It is a bit riskier, but it is higher risk, higher reward.
I do use Dynamite and even Pulse sometimes as like a zoning ability rather than a straight damage. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know if that's worth it or not.
I don't think it was a bad idea. I don't think it's a bad idea. Angle's good here again. Just shoot what's available. Look for backline when you can. Good shots. Good shots again. Good dynamite. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, you can just Bob point just to be safe. Yeah, I mean, this character is freaking easy. I say that facetiously when you're holding a good angle and just shooting crap, right? And I will give you credit. You've done a pretty good job holding these little off angles, these little high grounds, these little flanks, and just hitting your shots. Like even this right here, it's like it's not great. Junkrat's going to spam you out, but you are forcing a response, and that's really all you want. You want to make sure that they push you and not your team. Or if they push your team, they don't push you. You get what I'm saying? So this is obviously a much worse position for Ashe than before, but you have fewer options. Good shot. Yeah, good job. Yeah, I mean, I think this has been pretty good. Yeah, this is okay. This is okay. I have most of my feedback for your Ashe there was more along the lines of when the angle wasn't immediately providing value, which happened once or twice, you'd get a little bit impatient, and then just being really, really, really diligent with hitting your dynamites. Not necessarily on like big AoE hits, but at least hitting one person so that you win that 1v1, or they have to de-peek, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We can look at some Soj. We've got a few more minutes here. We can go back to the other code, look at some more Ashe or Cass. Totally up to you. We've got time for a couple more fights here.
I definitely have noticed I still haven't gotten down the timing of when to use Sojourn's ult. There's a lot of times where I pop it and then immediately die as if it was a Genji blade.
Yeah, I get that, yeah. We can look at those if you want. We can just look at the Soj ults really fast. Skip around. That work for you?
Yeah, probably the other code I sent you. I really only played Sojourn like the first point on this one, I think.
Okay, well then we'll get one ult and then we'll jump into the code. Yeah. See, there you go. We get one. Okay, let's look. So Soj ult is basically, do I have a sightline or an off angle, and then I'm just gonna pull it. The problem being is that sometimes you're going to have a situation where you're the first person to pop an ult, so the entire enemy team is going to focus you down, but that's still fine. You might not get a single kill, but it's still fine. Like right now, like this fight is not guaranteed one, so popping Soj ult here is fine. Because if you don't pop Sojourn ult here, then maybe we still lose this fight. Now you're like, oh, but he's shattered. I don't think you knew that. That's a failure to ult track and a failure to use high ground, but I don't think the concept of using Soj ult because you're up one is bad. This is fine. You see what I'm saying? So you're like, oh, I should have popped Sojourn ult there. And yet we're still winning this fight. And we forced out an ultimate from them. Does that make sense? So the problem wasn't the Soj ult there. The problem was the position. That's all. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, using, like, somebody has to be the hero. Somebody has to be the unsung hero that uses the ult that forces everybody to pee their pants. And that might as well be you. If your position is good, like, obviously we don't get a chance to there. But, like, if the position is good, then just rip it. So King's Row was E7. What's this one? With Soj ult, it's just basically, do I have a good angle or sightline where if they're going to hide from me, it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to do so. So like here, for example. Obviously, you could rip it here if you had a little bit more healing. But that would be a situation where, like, the timing of this, if you had healing here, right now it would be fine. Do you have a good angle? I mean,
yeah. I mean,
feels like it, right? Yeah, feels like a sightline.
Yeah, if I'm patient, right?
Yeah. Are you gonna kill 6 people? No, it's super freaking scary, right? Everybody's looking at you right now. That's fine. That's fine. We'll force a response. Maybe we'll get a trade. Maybe we'll get the Soj to focus us down instead, and then we can just hide. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. On retake, what do we got?
We can't let them keep pushing. Stop that payload.
I was trying to get. I was
Taxi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rip it. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Just to win a 1v1, right? Like, she might slide out, but she should die, right? So that's just a misplay. That's all. That's just a misplay. That's not a bad ultimate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Like, that never feels fine, right? But you have to remember, it's like popping ult isn't a guaranteed win. It's just a guaranteed, I'm going to have an advantage in this duel. Like, if you were
Probably
able to have a... Yeah,
I did have a question. Should I chase him down, or I was like, I think I ditched because he's a corridor.
Yeah, it's the right mindset. I mean, I would have chased him if I had Disruptor Shot.
Okay.
Maybe without Disruptor Shot, it's a little scarier. Yeah. You could pop ult here. You don't have a great angle, but also nobody has a great angle, and maybe the ult will be the tool that will get you an angle. Do you see what I'm saying? So using ult here. So I would criticize you if you used ult standing behind your tank on first point defense, because there's no reason for you to do that when you have like a little angle here, little angle here, little angle here. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, but in this situation here, your options were to go high ground, which you got cleared out of, or to just flank, and just feels really bad, right? So if you use your ult here, I wouldn't be critical. Again, it's that selfless hero mindset. It's like, well, I'm going to try to use this ult to help create some space for my team, and then maybe that will be enough. I mean, that's just really unfortunate, but it's another one of those situations where, again, I don't think the idea of using ult here is bad. The problem is that you're just too low. I just don't think your Ana sees you. Like, if you're full HP here, popping ult here is good. Because you guarantee kill that Ana, you guarantee kill that Sigma afterwards, and then you probably also kill the Cassidy afterwards as well. So it's like actually kind of funny that like a lot of our ult ideas have been actually really good, if that makes you feel any better. The timings have all been good. It's just been things like cover usage has been really bad, or like you've just not been aware of your HP. That's basically it. But the concepts, like the idea is there. Totally fine. Heck, even the Sojourn on third point retake, right? That was also good. Just don't forget freaking one shot, you know? It's kind of unfair because she had rail, you know, too, so it wasn't even an advantage for you. But yeah, I mean, it was a good idea. Not a problem. So, okay.
All right. Well, yeah.
Any questions?
No, I think not at this moment, at least.
Okay.
Okay. You've pointed out a lot of things that make a lot of sense. And
Sure.
as far as like
Good. I'm glad.
the attention pulling aspect.
Yeah. It's especially dangerous because you are a swapper, right? So you're going to swap depending on what the situation is needed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that situation is going to be perfectly there. But you are ready if that's needed, right? So you swap cast because they're on dive. The dive characters are on the other side of the map. Don't chase them. Kill their backline. You know, maybe that your presence there is why they're not there. You know, that's kind of the way to look at it. So, and then making those swaps around the map, not destroy the heroes, and then trying to be a little bit more consistent with how you're angling and how you're taking these off angles, and just being a little bit more patient. Because I want to, obviously, your best fights in Ashe were situations when you weren't really getting a lot of damage, but you were just controlling the sightlines, and you're basically always getting off a couple of really crucial shots, and then that was resulting in kills or people focusing you down or whatever else. So, okay. Any other questions?
No, I think that makes sense. I think the patience aspect is also a big a big key area to work on.
Sure. Okay.
And even like when I go to like swap, say like our supports are constantly getting dove or something. Like on Tracer, I guess just a quick thing, because Tracer is also one of the heroes I play a lot. When does it make so? There's like a few different ones that I play. I play if I feel like I really can't like beam anyone down. There's no one that's really vulnerable. I just play distraction.
Yeah.
Or I guess in Tracer v Tracer, if I'm not just pretty much dueling the Tracer, does it make more sense to try to go after their backline or try to protect my backline from their Tracer?
Well, this is where the answer to this question has been secretly answered already. You swap the Tracer, you take the angle, the Tracer's not there, she's over there, kill their backline, right? So you take the position first, and then you kind of like, again, it's position-based opportunity, like position-based responsibility, really. So it's like whatever's there, that's your job. That's your job. Okay. Even if you made the Tracer swap to deal with their Tracer, but then all of a sudden she's like on the other side of the map, okay, then you're trading backlines now.
Okay.
You saw it a lot with the Ashe. I don't think you swapped the Ashe to deal with the Sombra, right? But she kept being on your position, and so you dealt with the Sombra. That was your job. And you did a good job at it. You did a really good job. So that's really what Overwatch is about. It's like making good swaps to deal with certain heroes. But then as like the environment changes and things, they will try to outplay you, and then you just have to kind of deal with what's there.
Okay.
Good question. Anything else?
Not at the moment, I don't